Hey everyone, my name is Nolan Dahl, and today I'm going to vacuum form an Allen wrench organizer. So if you're anything like me, your Allen wrench collection probably looks something like this. It's unorganized, there's Allens everywhere, you don't know where the Allen you're looking for is, it's bad. So I figured I'd vacuum form something like this to organize them. I chose vacuum forming because it's a relatively cheap and fast manufacturing process, and it'll produce a mold that's rigid enough to hold the wrenches in place, which is all I'm really looking for. So here are the steps I followed to create that plastic mold. First, you create a base box, which will be used to suck the air out and form the plastic. Then you create a top frame, which will hold that sheet of plastic later. There's not much to this part. The box is 4 walls, a bottom and a top. The frame is just 4 walls. All I did was cut the rectangles and join them together using wood glue. The box and frame I made had the same dimensions so that when you lay them on top of each other, that creates the seal. I then drilled holes into the top of the base box. This will allow the vacuum to suck air through the top, forcing the plastic down and around the wrenches. Turns out I either had a weak vacuum or I drilled too many holes or both because I was getting a very tiny amount of suction. So I did what any self-respecting engineer would do. I slapped as much duct tape as I physically could on that thing until it finally worked. I started covering the corners with duct tape in case there was a leak there, and I taped over all of the holes and only re-exposed a small fraction of them this time. And this drastically improved the suction. Next, I stapled a 1/8 inch thick sheet of ABS plastic to the top frame. I chose ABS because it has a low melting point, meaning the heat from just my oven can make it easy to vacuum form. It's also relatively cheap and readily available, and it will be pretty rigid when done molding. Next, I set the oven to broil and waited for it to heat up. Once it was done heating up, I put the top frame in with the plastic on the top side. This is so the plastic has room to droop as it heats up and begins to sag. It was ready to mold after just around 7 seconds, so I took it out, placed it over the base box, turned on the vacuum, and sucked out all the air so that the plastic molds and hugs around the objects beneath it. I let the plastic cool off a bit to the point where I wasn't burning my hands, but it was still hot enough that I could easily pop out the wrenches. Then I trimmed off the excess plastic and voila! Now you have a set of Allen wrenches that will never get disorganized or lost. Unless you bring them to the shop in Rogers. Then they'll definitely get lost, no matter what mold or organizer you have.